Welcome to the Power Sweep Podcast. My name is Chris Van Dyne. This is NorthCoast Sports, bringing you the first of three bowl issues of the Power Sweep Podcast. Really excited about this first week of bowl games. We did release our first bowl issue of Power Sweep. Normally, we do one comprehensive bowl issue that gives you a write-up and plays on all 40 games. This year, we did not do that. Reason being, and it's really started last year, it's really hard to handicap these later bowl games not knowing who's going to opt out. Some coaching changes are still going to happen. So we felt like to give the best handicapping and to have the best chance to have success on our plays, we should break it up into three issues. So this first issue covers the first 12 bowl games. That is everything through the date was Wednesday, December 22nd. So definitely, if you haven't already gotten that issue, you should get it. ncsports.com. You can call 1-800-654-3448. The bowl issue of Power Sweep, like I said, that's the first of three bowl issues that we'll be releasing. And we'll have three podcast episodes going along with these issues. So this is the first of those three. And if you didn't get Power Sweep last year, you might not know, but our bowl plays in Power Sweep last year were on red hot fire. 18-6 on our Power Sweep plays on the bowls. So jump on board for those plays. Our star-rated sides in the bowls last year were 6-2, 22-6 on the star basis. Had the bowl game of the year winner on Texas A&M at the end of the bowl season. Marquee triples, which are the highest rated marquees we do for the bowls. We do that single, double, triple rating. The triples were 7-2, which we put a marquee out on every bowl total there is. So I hope everyone's excited. We get an actual full bowl season, and looks like a lot of great matchups. So Jim and Robbie are going to be here in a moment to talk about those. You can also check me out on the Stewcast. We'll talk about that a little later because there's a special bonus there. And we're going to have a special bonus at the end of this episode as well for all the bowl games for this year. So really excited that all of you are listening to this and excited to get bowl season underway. And hopefully we have a safe, healthy bowl season. It is kind of getting a little crazy again. Hoping these games don't get too disrupted and we don't have any cancellations. But we shall see how that goes. All right, and as always, we are welcoming our North Coast handicappers in today, Jim Seaman and Robbie DePola. Welcome back, guys. Jim, it's been an awesome football season for you. You've had a lot of fun basking in the glory of being the best handicapper in this podcast. How are you celebrating right now?
It's just been party central. That's all I can say.
You can hear it in his voice.
Jim's high on life. That's what he told me this morning.
He's high on life this morning.
Yeah. We try to get him high on other things, and he just refuses.
Nope. I don't inhale.
Robbie, how are you doing today? Getting ready for the holidays?
Yeah, getting the Christmas tree up, getting it, putting the lights up outside. Getting ready for that. Trying to buy all the last minute presents. I personally enjoy the holidays a lot, so I'm looking forward to seeing my family and spending some time with them.
Yeah, I don't like most of my family, but I do see them over the holidays. So no, some of them I like, some of them are okay.
It's not what you usually say. I mean,
yeah. So we'll get started here as usual. Since small slate, we have the bowl issue for the first week of Power Sweep. The first week of bowl issue for Power Sweep. There will be three issues going out over the next couple of weeks, which I explained earlier. We're only putting out one play each for this podcast. So, Jim, you're going to kick it off. You've got the best record coming off a win on championship week on Northern Illinois. Good call. They whooped Kent. What are you starting us off with?
Well, I'm going to go back to the MAC, and I'm going to go with the team that I went with a lot this year, Eastern Michigan as a dog. They're getting 9 points from Liberty, and Eastern Michigan loves to be a dog. They're 24-7 ATS as a dog of 3 or more. And that includes 12 outright upsets, and that's since 2016. And that also includes they're actually 0-3 in bowls under Creighton, head coach Creighton, but they're 3-0 ATS as they've lost those bowls by a combined 10 points. So they're always right there at it. Liberty currently right now is they're on their second half of their season. They went just 2-4 straight up, 1-5 ATS. Eastern Michigan will have time to prepare for Liberty's big weapon, which is QB Malik Willis. And Willis this year, he does have 820 yards rushing, 4.3 yards per carry, and 11 rushing TDs. But his passing hasn't been as well as it has been in the past. He's got a 24-12 ratio, a lot of turnovers this year, and he's passing for just 219 yards per game. Eastern Michigan, their quarterback is actually Cincinnati transfer Ben Bryant. He played for them last year and came over to Eastern Michigan. He's throwing for 264 this year with a 19-8 ratio. And they also have, it's kind of funny, a transfer up from James Madison, Jawan Hamilton, and he's rushed for 632 this year, 6.2 yards per carry, which is pretty impressive. So they're kind of even on the offense. Liberty does have some advantage on the defense. But the other thing is with this game right now, it's 9, and I would get it early because there's always a chance that Willis is going to the NFL, and there's always a chance that he could opt out, which would totally probably swing this. So I would say take advantage of it now. Take Eastern Michigan plus the points, and I look for a close game and possibility of even Eastern Michigan getting their first bowl win here.
I will throw this out, Jim, just because as you were talking about that, I did, because I've been trying to find information on whether Willis was going to play. He says he is going to play, just so the listeners know.
Okay.
He's focused on finishing the season with his Liberty teammates. Obviously, that's not going to change your opinion on this game. We still like Eastern Michigan.
But, no, especially because Eastern Michigan has the time to prepare for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got all their bowl practices to sit there and work on a mobile quarterback. What are they going to do? It's not even just like a 1 week to prepare for it.
Yeah, and I was Googling that as you were talking about it, because I've been looking for information on whether Willis was going to play, because obviously it's a question mark these days. He's projected first round by Todd McShay's first mock draft, going to the Denver Broncos. So, and there's always a chance he could change his mind, but as of right now, he says he's focusing on playing his last game for his teammates. But you mentioned his numbers. He has dropped in a lot of numbers. Last year, he only threw 6 interceptions. This year, he's doubled that number to 12. He averaged 6.7 yards per carry last year, only 4.3 this year. His completion percentage has dropped a couple percentage points. So he's just not been the same quarterback. Aside from when he played against UAB, looked really good in that game. But that really hasn't looked like the same guy, and they've lost the last 3 games.
Especially the second half of the season. This isn't the same Liberty that was, going for an undefeated season at the end of the year last year, and trying to or getting close. I think they had 1 game, and then they beat Coastal in the bowl.
Yep.
Yeah, they lost to NC State by a point.
Yeah, they lost to NC State, but then they beat Coastal in the bowl, and were very impressive last year. And this year, they just seem to have faded in the second half of the season.
Absolutely. And Eastern Michigan, like you mentioned, they're great as an underdog, especially Chris Creighton in these bowl games. They've been an underdog 3 times, covered all 3. Lost all 3, but they've covered all 3.
Yeah, well, like last year.
That's all we care about.
Yeah, last year they were underdog to Pitt by, I think, 13, and they only lost by 4. So, who you got for us today, Chris?
I'm going to go against the CUSA team that I've actually been really impressed with this year, but I think this is a bad matchup for them. Tulsa laying the points against Old Dominion. I'm looking at Tulsa as the play. The first thing that I've noticed with Tulsa is, you're looking at their schedule and they played a couple tough teams, especially early in the season. Close against Oklahoma State. At the time, they're like, oh, that was nice. Oklahoma State wasn't expected to be one of the best Big 12 teams. As it turns out, not only were they one of the best Big 12 teams, but in contention for the playoffs at the end of the year until they lost that Big 12 championship game. But they actually outgained Oklahoma State. They only lost 28-23. The following week against Ohio State, they lost 40-21. But don't forget that game was actually very close. It was the fourth quarter, and they were down 27-20 in the game the whole way until the last 4 minutes when they gave up a touchdown and a pick six with 1:50 left that sealed the deal. So they were down 7 points to Ohio State with less than 4 minutes left in the game. Going through again, 8-point loss at Cincinnati. They outgained Cincinnati, a playoff team, by 56 yards. They put up 446 against Cincinnati's defense. At SMU, that's a pretty good SMU team. They win 34-31. They beat Memphis at home 35-29. So a lot of good wins and losses on the resume for Tulsa. Looking at Old Dominion, they started out 1-6. The losses were mostly explainable. They lost to Liberty on the road. They lost to UTEP by 7 on the road. That was an improved UTEP team. Lost to Marshall by 7. That was actually a good performance for Old Dominion. Lost by 23 to Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky was a very good team. Lost by 1 to Buffalo in a crazy game where they were down 35-7. Came back, would have tied it, but they missed the extra point. So 1-6. They win their last 5 games to get to a bowl. Awesome. Except for, let's look at who they played. They beat Louisiana Tech, not a bowl team. Very bad down the stretch. FIU, one of the worst teams in the country. They beat them 47-24. Win against FAU. That's a decent win, but FAU, again, went 5-7, nothing special. Best win of the season for them at Middle Tennessee, a 6-6 team. They were outgained by 73 yards. So that was their best win. Then they beat Charlotte. So they have 6 wins. Not a single one of them was against a team that was better than 6-6. So I really respect the job that Ricky Rainey's done. I respect how hard it is to get a team to play after having not played last year. And they do have some talent. I like their wide receiver, the West Virginia transfer, Allie Jennings, tight end Zach Kuntz. I just don't think that if you look at who they're playing, I don't think it's on the same level. Tulsa has played a lot better competition and played that competition very well. Laying 9.5 here. Old Dominion does have a little bit of a location edge, but I love Tulsa's running back, Shamari Brooks, and Anthony Watkins. Watkins averages 7.6 yards per carry. They actually have a third running back, Denaric Prince, who was a transfer from Texas A&M, who's got 480 yards. They've got a couple solid receivers. I would like to see more out of Davis Brin. 16 interceptions scares me. But Old Dominion's defense did have some struggles down the stretch. Gave up 480 yards in their finale to Charlotte. I think Tulsa's better than Charlotte. So I don't have a problem laying 9.5 here. I think that Tulsa's the play. I think that they're a much better team, having faced better competition. And wins and losses were better than what I see from Old Dominion and how they played this year. All right. Robbie, going to get you involved here. Going against my toppers, man. What you got?
Yeah, this is a game that I think might be one of the better bowl games early on here in the first part here. It's Appalachian State against Western Kentucky, as Chris kind of alluded to there. Western Kentucky was a team he was on from the beginning of the year, especially when they got the Houston Baptist transfer quarterback and their offensive coordinator and their top 3 receivers. Western Kentucky started out just 1-4, but if you look at who they played Army, Indiana, Michigan State, and UTSA. So all I mean, except for Indiana, who kind of faltered throughout the year, Michigan State, UTSA, Army, those are all teams that won at least 8 games this year. So those losses, and the loss to Army was just by 3. The loss to UTSA was just by 6. The Michigan State loss was by 17, but they did put up 560 yards in that game. I should say Western Kentucky is known for their offense, as I mentioned too, but App State's known for their defense. That's kind of I'll get to it a little later. That's kind of why I'm going to side with App State here. But App State, looking at them, they when they didn't play a team named Louisiana, they seemed to play pretty well. They finished the year with 3 losses, 2 of them being to the team I just mentioned, Louisiana. They lost by 2 the second game of the season at Miami. But the rest of their games, they were down 14-0 to Coastal Carolina, came back to beat them. App State, if you look at the last 5 games of the regular season, they didn't really play the toughest of competition, as not one of the teams they played the last 5 weeks made a bowl. But they blew teams completely out of the water the last 5 weeks. They were plus 175 yards per game, plus 30 points per game, held those foes to just 242 and 12 yards and 12 points per game. They have a solid rushing attack. They topped 200 yards 6 times this season, led by Nate Noel, who had over 1,000 yards. Cam Peoples had 825 and 14 touchdowns. That's a great 1-2 punch there for them. App State does also have 3 receivers that topped 750 yards, though I just actually did read not too long ago that their top receiver, Corey Sutton, I guess, suffered an injury in the championship game, and he is actually getting surgery, so he will miss this game. So that's kind of a big blow for them because he had 904 and 7 touchdowns this year. But they still do have 2 receivers who top 750, so they still have some viable threats on the outside. And Western Kentucky loves to play offense, defense not so much. There was 5 games this year where they allowed over 500 yards. They gave up over 320 passing yards, at least in 5 games. There were a few, their last game in the CUSA championship, they also gave up 304 rush. And like I just mentioned, App State's a team that likes to run the ball. They can pass. Chase Bryce had a bounce back year at quarterback, but App State is a run first team. And I would look for them to exploit Western Kentucky's defense. The edge on offense, according to our computer, obviously goes to Western Kentucky. It's number 6 versus number 86. But the defense edge is significantly in favor of App State, number 21 versus number 104. And App State's defense does have the Sun Belt Player of the Year in linebacker DeMarco Jackson. He had 6 sacks, 12.5 tackles for loss, 5 pass breakups, led the team in tackles. And they do also have a cornerback All-American in Stephen Jones, who had 8 pass breakups and 5 picks this year. So their pass defense was one of the tops in the nation. It was number 17. They had 15 picks as a team. So Bailey Zappi does like to throw the ball around the yard. He's currently sitting at over 5,500 passing yards. He's hitting 69%. And he's just 4 touchdowns away from tying Joe Burrow's record. So you have to know, or at least think, App State's going to know that, and their defense is going to want to prevent that from happening on them. I don't know if that'll happen just because Western Kentucky loves to throw the ball. He might get 4 touchdowns, but I think it's a close game, but the line's only 3. I see App State winning by a touchdown. I mean, this could be a 37-30, 38-31 game. But ultimately, just because App State has the stronger defense, I tend to side with teams who do have a competent offense and the better defense. So I'll side with App State minus the 3 against Western Kentucky.
Two things that are worth mentioning is Western Kentucky only lost that CUSA championship by 8 points. They were getting whooped in the third quarter, though. It was 42-13. They came back and made that game close. And against Marshall, they were down 14-0 in the first quarter, and Marshall was just cutting through them like butter until their quarterback got hurt. So, Western Kentucky puts up a lot of points, obviously, and they get involved in these shootouts. But you are right. App State has a huge defensive edge. And as much as I love Western Kentucky and what Bailey Zappi's done this year, I'm not real thrilled to bet on Western Kentucky in this game because I think App State has the defense to limit them enough, similar to what what UTSA did, but also score points. And they've got a better defense than UTSA, so maybe they can limit them a little more and not, if they get ahead of them, not let that comeback happen.
Yeah, and I just think I will mention that this is App State's 7th bowl since they moved up. They've made a bowl every year they were eligible to make a bowl, and they're 6-0 straight up, 4-2 ATS in bowls. So they have performed well in bowls. They just have to win by over a field goal here, and like you just said, I think they have the defense that they can get a couple of timely stops, and if their offense can get to running the ball, like I said, I think they can win this game by about a touchdown, 10 points.
Yeah, and I do find it really interesting that Western Kentucky's offensive coordinator is leaving but coaching this game, and same with their right tackle and their wide receiver, both in the portal, but both playing in this game. It's different. It's just a different world right now. We're finding that out with signing day. We've been talking about the chaotic situation with Dion and Jackson State. So college football is definitely changing on us, man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Something that never changes, though, is Christmas movies. Jim, what's your go-to Christmas movie this time of year?
Die Hard.
Good call. Thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Yes, we watch, my kids and I watch that every year. It is
It is a Christmas movie.
it is a Christmas.
It's a
movie.
heartwarming
It's going to a Christmas
story.
party.
It's a heartwarming story.
It's true love. It's love. Look what he does for his wife.
Yes.
He could have just got out of that building.
Yeah, even though they get divorced
there
later
for
on,
love.
Yeah, I'm with you. Die Hard's up there. What do you got, Robbie? What's the go-to Christmas movie?
Oh, I'm more traditional. I like Home Alone. I like the Santa Claus movie with Tim Allen. I'm a personal fan of his. I like his humor. So those movies. I like the Grinch. So I'm a lot more traditional, and I just like those movies. There's not a Christmas movie really I'm not a fan of, but I would probably say those three I'm the biggest fan of.
I can't get over Kevin's parents anymore. Like every time I watch Home Alone, now that I'm an adult, I just want to punch his parents in the face. Like his whole family, they were so terrible. And it's a funny movie, but man, I have a hard time getting through that now because every time I watch it, I'm like, oh man, these people, they shouldn't even be allowed to have children. They're like, this whole family is awful. Like, what is wrong with these people?
I will say personally, I'm a fan of the second Home Alone movie more so than the first one. The scenes where the sticky bandits or the wet bandits are in that abandoned apartment building and they're getting shocked and electrocuted and stuff dumped on their head. Like some of those scenes
Christmas like that
are the most iconic scenes in any movie for me personally. So yeah, I do like those movies.
Joe Pesci steals the show.
Oh, he is phenomenal in those movies.
Yeah, I'll go with a movie I just watched last night, Krampus, because I gotta get my Christmas horror in. It's a weird movie, but it's a good time if you like that kind of genre. I will admit I'm a big fan of Polar Express. Little cheesy, but I think it's an excellent story, and I love Tom Hanks. So if I'm being honest, Polar Express is probably my favorite Christmas movie. You mentioned a Tim Allen Santa Claus. Have you watched the Santa Claus Chronicles or whatever, the movies on Netflix with Kurt Russell as Santa Claus?
I have not.
I recommend them. They're not bad. They're not, they're just cheesy, but they
A
have
lot of Christmas movies are. It's like those
yeah.
Hallmark ones that my sister and my
Oh, I can't watch this.
like every plot line is the same. Somebody comes home for Christmas, they fall in love with their high school sweetheart, they fight, they get back together. It makes me want to vomit.
Yeah, I've got a whole list of Christmas movies that I like, but I'll be honest, some of them, even the traditional ones, I'm not a big, and I'm we live in Cleveland. I'll probably get crucified for this, but I'm not a huge fan of A Christmas Story. It's cool. I haven't watched it in probably a decade.
I like the movie. The only problem is when we go to my uncle's house on Christmas Eve, he refuses to let anybody change the channel from that movie. So we're at their house for probably 5 or 6 hours. So we probably watched the movie almost 3 or 4 times through. It's quite annoying, to be honest. Like, I can stomach it once, but like it's just on, and he's sitting there quoting the movie. It's like we get it. You like the movie.
Jim, what's your anti-Christmas movie? What Christmas movie do you not like?
Well, I would actually say the other one that's kind of in there, the traditional one that I like, is I do like A Wonderful Life.
Okay.
I always like the story behind it. I'm trying to think one that I really don't like.
So since we're talking Christmas and all the positivity of Christmas, we have to throw out the negativity here.
The one I don't like, I'm trying to think of.
And which one are you not watching if you see it on TV?
I don't, to be honest, I don't watch a lot of them on. I'm just trying. There's nothing that I would like go, oh my God, I would avoid this. I can't think of one that upsets me that much.
Yeah.
Mr. Positive.
I tried to be. Hey, Chris.
I thought maybe you'd go with Jingle All the Way or something.
Yeah. Is that the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, and Sinbad. Not a very good movie, but
it's not it's got its humorous points though.
Yeah. I'll tell you a Christmas movie I liked that was kind of funny was Surviving Christmas with Ben Affleck.
I think I've seen that movie before.
It's got some moments. It's pretty funny at times. He's like a rich dude that pays James Gandolfini's family to pretend to be his family because he's lonely at Christmas.
Yes, I have seen that movie.
Yeah, he's really rich. Yeah, it's got some moments. It's especially with what they call the pretend grandpa. Oh man, I can't remember now. That it's not a great movie, but yeah. We have definitely gone off the rails.
I was going to say, were we going to talk a little bit about the FCS, Chris?
Oh yeah.
A little bit of football on the football.
Yeah, there are FCS playoffs going on, and Jim's got to get involved in that. And a couple.
Yeah, and I just more of an interesting thing because there's a game Friday, there's a game Saturday, there's also the Celebration Bowl with the aforementioned Jackson State as the SWAC champion playing the MEAC champion South Carolina State, and it's both their first appearance in there because North Carolina A&T, who's kind of dominated that game, moved on to the Big South. So it's an interesting game. Jackson State's a 10-point favorite, and they probably should be a 10-point favorite in the Celebration Bowl. And then on Friday, it's a matchup between two. I think it's probably going to be a very good game. It's James Madison at North Dakota State, and North Dakota State has not lost a playoff game at home since 2016. That team that they lost to, though, was James Madison. James Madison, as you know, is going to be moving up. So this is kind of their last go around. This is their last shot. North Dakota State's been in the championship game a lot. In fact, they've played James Madison in the championship game a lot. They played in several years, or 2017, 2019, beat them both times. So maybe the third time's charm here for James Madison. North Dakota State's like a 5.5 point favorite, and it's pretty close to the line. It's probably going to be a bit of a low scoring game, more of a defensive game. And then on the other one, you kind of have two, if you will, upsets last week. Montana's number 8 seed, Montana State, upset number 1 seed, Sam Houston. And really, they were up 28-0 in that game and just kind of dominated it and cruised in the second half. And then you have South Dakota State, who actually has handed North Dakota State their only loss this year, but they weren't actually seeded this year because of a last second. They gave up a last second touchdown on a Hail Mary to South Dakota, so that gave them, an additional loss. And they've made their way through. They went up and they were down 21-14 to Villanova, and then they shut them out in the second half. And so you've got it's kind of interesting for that game, and that could be another low scoring game with two very good defenses.
Yeah, we talked about these games earlier. I definitely thought that there was.
I kind of like James Madison, and I know you like the under in the Montana State, South Dakota State game.
Yeah, I was impressed.
Montana State's running a freshman quarterback because their ACC transfer quarterback decided to leave a couple of days before their previous playoff game.
That guy sounds like a team player.
Yeah, well, so this freshman started 2 games, and he's a running quarterback, and he's put up a bunch of yards. I think he had 81 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. And, you have a lot of there, but of course, South Dakota State has a very good rush defense. So I think they're 2 good games to watch. I know there's a lot of bowls to start with and other people will be watching, but I mean, if you get a chance and those bowls are a little boring, check out the FCS.
Hey, and I think even during those bowl games, the FCS playoffs have a lot to offer right now because these teams are actually playing for something. Unlike Middle Tennessee and Toledo, no offense to those fine institutions in the Bahamas Bowl, in all reality, they are playing for absolutely nothing. It's a glorified scrimmage. And on the flip side, these FCS kids are playing for a championship. What you're supposed to play for, not for whoever is the best at the Bahamas Bowl. But, it is what it is. I love the FCS playoffs. I know you do, Jim, so definitely get on board with that. We might have something coming this weekend for the FCS playoffs. We've been doing pretty well in our small college plays this year involving FCS teams. So look out for that if you jump on board a late phone package or want to get involved in any Friday or Saturday plays. Jim, any closing thoughts?
Well, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing the one before Christmas or if people are going to have time to listen. So just kind of wish people a Merry Christmas and hope everybody stays safe out there. Lots of stuff going on with this COVID lately. I know the Browns are getting hit hard this week, and Cleveland State just shut down their program, their basketball program, because of COVID outbreaks. So just be safe out there. Be careful. Once again, I'm not going to get into the whole vaccine and everything else because I know there's some people, but sometimes even just wearing a mask just to be safe, it's not hurting you. You can breathe through it, but if nothing else, be kind to those other people, especially people in the stores.
I wear a mask just because no one wants to see my face. Yeah, the COVID thing is.
We asked you to do that.
Yeah, hit close to home for me because my middle school wrestling team that I coach is currently shut down for about 10 days because we've had a little bit of an outbreak. But so far, so good with me. hoping that everything continues in that path and we get back and rolling. Unfortunately, they don't put any lines out in those games, so I don't think the listeners are probably going to be very interested. But yeah, and I think we will have another bowl episode next week. Robbie, what do you got? Closing thoughts?
Yeah, well, if we're going to talk to you all again before Christmas, I'll save my happy holidays speech for then. But yeah, like both Jim and Chris have said, just be mindful of people. It's a crazy time of year, but just try to be mindful of people, have some fun, enjoy food, family, football, whatever you do. Enjoy it, stay safe, and hope we could provide some entertainment for you during these wild times. So have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, and don't stress out. Remember, these are supposed to be fun times, and just be nice to people. A little common decency goes a long way.
It's pretty sad that we have to tell people to be nice to each other, but that's kind of where we are in the world, unfortunately.
That I don't know. I don't even know why you guys are bothering. If they're going to be nice to each other, they're going to be nice. It's not going to be because Jim, Chris, and Robbie said so. They're probably going to just be jerks to each other.
Hey, you know what? If one person hears my voice and goes, you know what, I'm going to be nice one time, that can, so on and so forth. Domino effect.
I hope you're right, Jim.
I know.
You're right. I think they might.
Can you tell who the optimist is and who the pessimist is?
And I'm kind of right in the middle.
Yeah. I think they might.
Keeping it real.
Just want to punch someone in the face. I'll also say have plenty of beverages this holiday season. Drink away the pain. Yeah. Don't drive though. Don't drive.
Chris.
Drink away the pain, but don't drive. Malt liquor is awesome this time of year. English.
Chris.
I said don't drive. That's the important thing. Do not drive. And hopefully also celebrate winnings, celebrate our bowl wins on our podcast, I hope. All right.
Talk
On
again.
that note, take care, everybody.
Well, I hope all of you had a lot of fun listening to me, Jim, and Robbie rant on Christmas movies and different topics. Jim with the FCS knowledge and also us hopefully giving out some winners. 2-1 in the championship week podcast. So hopefully we do something similar or even better on this podcast. As usual, we will give out a bonus code. Normally we give out something small. I'll tell you what, we're gonna give out a nice bonus for our bowl exec. Now this is for our full bowl exec where you're getting all of our bowl plays, sides and totals, $30 off bowl exec if you use code Tulsa. Tulsa, that was my play this week. The Golden Hurricane. Hurricane, also a brand of malt liquor that is absolutely god awful, but you might enjoy it. I hope not. There's Jim in the background. So $30 off. Bull Exec. Current price $5.49 for 21 subs, $4.99 for 22 subs, and that code again is Tulsa. You can go to ncsports.com or call 1-800-654-3448 to get that code, to get that promotion on the Bull Exec. You will have to call in though. 1-800-654-3448. And also, if you haven't done it already, go and listen to the Stewcast. My good buddy Al Studer is putting out his first bowl issue of that podcast, and there is a code on there as well to get you $10 off next year's Power Sweep. Not going to give you the code. Got to go listen to his podcast and get that code. That's $10 off next year's podcast if you go on, listen to the Stewcast, and get the code that we gave out on that show. So again, for Chris, for myself, Robbie, and Jim, we are excited about the first bowl issue. We are going to be back next week for another bowl episode, and hopefully everyone enjoys this week's bowl games, and we'll be back for more next week. Take care.